What's up, guys? Kellen back here with Inside Out Precision. I guess I should address that first. So my name is Kellen, like K-E-L-L-E-N, Kellen Morgan. I actually had a guy comment and say, enunciate your name, because it always sounds like you say Callum Bat Inside Out Precision, but I'm saying Kellen back with Inside Out Precision. So if you're wondering what my name is, it's Kellen. So let's just start by clarifying that. Now, for the video today, this is actually in response to a couple of the comments that I made in my shots and thoughts video, where I was basically just kind of shooting and spouting whatever came to my brain. And one of the things I mentioned in that video was that I was gonna kind of micro adjust my draw length a little bit, like lengthen it just a little bit. And I had a lot of people asking, like, what do you mean? How do you lengthen your draw length 1/8 of an inch? Aren't there only 1/2 inch mods? So on and so forth. So I want to talk today about how I achieve a better hold and better alignment by micro adjusting my draw length. So basically, like I said, most every bow, I think except the new Elites, have 1/2 inch draw length adjustments. So, you know, 29, 29.5, 30, 30.5, so on and so forth. If you're one of the lucky people who falls right on one of those numbers, that's great. Most people do a 1/2 inch. You know, if you're average shooter, you know, one of those 1/2 inch increments is going to work really well. Now for a target setup, and I guess a hunting setup as well, for me personally, you know, I play around with that draw length a lot to find what holds best for me, because just literally like 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch difference can make a huge difference in how that pin wants to set. And basically that's just has to do with alignment, you know, being able to get that shoulder down a little bit, or this back elbow in position a little better. And so really what I'm doing is I'm taking twists out of or adding twists into the main string. So if I take twists out of my main string, I'm essentially lengthening that string, and it's gonna lengthen my draw length a little bit. If I put twists into my main string, it's gonna shorten my draw length a little bit. Now, you know, one twist, you're not really gonna feel anything. You're maybe moving your draw length, you know, a 64th or a 32nd of an inch. But if I do 3 or 4 twists in, you know, that's gonna shorten me up a good 1/8 to 3/16, maybe even 1/4 of an inch, depending on how much I do. And that can make a really big difference. You know, lots of people asking, like, how do I hold steadier? And to me, draw length has more to do with it than stabilization. Like if I shoot a bow that's a 1/2 inch too short for me, it doesn't matter what stabilizers I put on there, I'm gonna have a tough time aiming that bow. Same if a bow is too long. You know, if I'm completely extended out like this, I've got no strength. So I like to play around with that. Just when you're doing it, always keep track of, like, okay, I did 3 twists in, you know, that way you can always get back to where you started if everything starts going awry. So there's a couple things to consider though. So I like to do basically, even like if, let's say I'm gonna do 3 twists, I'll take off, so you need a press. So you put your bow in the press, unhook the string from the bottom. I'll do like 1.5 in the bottom, rehook it, 1.5 in the top and rehook it. And generally that will keep my loop and peep sight somewhat aligned. If I only twist from one side, you're probably gonna have to cut your loop loose, or, you know, loosen it up and then, you know, readjust your peep sight, because obviously that stuff is gonna rotate around. Personally, I don't think I would start, you know, obviously you need to get your loop realigned to draw the bow, but I wouldn't start really messing with all the peep rotation and, you know, resetting all that stuff until you find one that you think feels best. You know, then you can rotate that string a 1/2 twist one way or the other and get that peep sight lined up. And again, a 1/2 twist is not going to affect any of the draw length adjustment that you just did. There's pretty much no measurable difference with 1/2 twist in your string one way or the other. Now, a lot of people say, well, what about your cables? Can't you twist up, you know, take twists in and out of your cables? And the answer is yes, but cables have a lot more to do with the peak weight of my bow, so like the max poundage, than draw length. So it takes a lot more twists in my cables to change my draw length, let's say 1/4 of an inch, than it does in the main string. So whereas in the main string, I put twists in and it shortens it, twists out, lengthens it, it's the exact opposite in your bus and control cable. If I twist up my bus and control cables, it's actually gonna increase my max poundage my limbs are going to come together, thus, you know, bringing my brace height out a little bit, and it will technically increase your draw length a little bit, but I've literally measured it. Like I put an arrow or a mark on my arrow with a silver Sharpie at full draw, and then I did 5 twists in each bus cable, or in each one of my cables, and it only lengthened it like maybe a 1/16 of an inch, but it increased my pounds, you know, it increased my max weight like 5 pounds, and then it over-rotated the cam, and there was way too much let off, so I don't really like messing with the cables if I can avoid it. You're much better off putting twists in your main string. Now, like I said, this is microing. If I'm trying to move my draw length like 3/8 or a 1/2 of an inch, do it in the mods, and then like let's say I think I need 3/8 of an inch more, put on a 1/2 inch longer mods, and then twist up your string, put like 3 or 4 twists in your string and play around with that. You know, you don't want to over twist that string, because then every time you draw, that peep sight's going to do this on you, and it's a pain in the butt. Another option is like, let's say, you know, at full draw, my front half feels really good, and that string is you know, contacting my face perfectly, but I feel like this back half is still too high. You may not need to lengthen the draw length, you may just need to lengthen your loop length. So there's really no, you know, no harm done in shooting a longer loop. Most loops are going to be between that like 3/4 and 1.25 inch. But there's guys out there that shoot like 1.5 inches to a 2-inch loop, and that's because they like, you know, they want to get their hand back to a certain position. Everybody anchors a little bit differently, and some guys, you know, they come in behind the jaw here instead of on the jaw, they're back here. And in order to get their hand there, if they did it all in draw length, they'd have so much face contact with their string. You know, their string would be all the way back here to get their hand here, that they leave the draw length where it is, and then they put on literally like a 2-inch loop so that they can get their hand in position without smashing that string into their face. So when you hear, you know, micro adjustments on draw length, that's what I'm talking about. So I wanted to address that question. Like I said, I probably had 50 comments between Instagram and YouTube on, you know, how do you lengthen your draw length 1/8 of an inch? Don't they only come in 1/2 inch mods? And that's what I'm doing. I'm just adding a twist if I want to shorten it, you know, taking out a couple twists if I want to lengthen it. And I actually did end up taking out, I think, 4 twists total. So I did two in the bottom and 2 in the top, you know, loops of my main string. And it feels a lot better. That pin, you know, I don't feel like there's so much pressure. It feels a little more natural. I don't have to like fight to get into alignment. Everything just kind of drops in. And you know, if you don't shoot a lot, I don't think this is going to be really noticeable. But like my target bow, and my hunting bow, I mean, I've shot so many freaking thousands of arrows through that thing at one draw length that 1/8 of an inch feels totally different. You know, it's very noticeable when you're an experienced shooter and you shoot a ton of arrows at one draw length. Just that extra 1/8 of an inch makes a world of difference. So go ahead and give that a try. You know, if you're having issues with aiming, you feel like, man, I'm just a little bit stretched out, but when I shorten it up a 1/2 inch, I feel too scrunched up. You know, like I said, put 3 twists into your main string and see if that helps. Conversely, if you feel like you're a little scrunched up, but you feel too stretched out when you put a 1/2 inch longer mod on your cam, you know, take 2 or 3 twists out of your string. And like I said, we're only moving that draw length a little tiny bit, but it makes a really big difference in the way that bow behaves. So that's my 2 cents on micro adjusting your draw length. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do so. It really helps us out. We've been chugging along. I know it's a crazy time of year for us at the shop right now. So I've been getting a lot of calls to the shop with kind of in-depth questions on tuning and arrows, and right now I don't have the time to take 20 minutes on the phone to talk about that, because we have customers running out our ears and trying to keep people, you know, organized with the whole social distancing and masks and all that stuff. So I apologize if I haven't been able to get back to you. It's just kind of the nature of the beast right now. We're 2 weeks out from opener, and it's just mayhem at the shop. So not complaining, but that's just the reason. So anyway, hope you found this video helpful. Hit me up if you have any questions. Like I said, I'll do my best to get back to you in a somewhat timely manner. But until next time, just keep them in the middle. Remember, precision is a decision, and I'll see you on the range.